The first thing in the morning, before you put your feet on the floor, you sit on the edge of the bed and you look down at them. Maybe you wiggle your toes a little, and the nail on the second toe or the big toe or the small one on the right foot has gone yellow again, thicker than it used to be, a little ridged. You used to wear sandals without thinking. Now you tuck that foot a little behind the other one when somebody comes to the door. If you want to understand why that nail keeps coming back the same way it has come back for the last 4 or 5 summers, do not look in the pharmacy aisle where the little brown bottles sit on the shelf. Do not look at the strongest prescription cream the foot doctor wrote you last winter. Look at the kitchen. Specifically, look at 3 things sitting in your pantry right now, 3 things the old ones in our hollow have used together for as long as anyone has been writing it down. I am Mary Littlebear, and I am glad you are here, neighbor. Sit a while. Now I have to tell you something before we go any further. The nail you're looking at this morning is not just a cosmetic thing. It is a sign. And folks who ignore that sign, who keep covering it up with polish or hiding their feet in closed shoes year-round, are missing what their body is trying to tell them. The reason most foot doctors do not sit you down and explain the deeper picture is not because they are hiding something from you. It is because they have 11 minutes per visit and a prescription pad. They are not paid to teach you about the soil your body grows from. They are paid to write the script. But you have grandchildren who want to take you down to the creek this summer. You have a granddaughter who is getting married next year, and you want to wear the open-toe shoes she picked out for the mothers and grandmothers. That is what is on the line here. That is why I want you to slow down and listen. My name is Mary Littlebear. For over 60 years, I have tended to folks in our community here in eastern Oklahoma, working with plant medicine and traditional foods the way my grandmother and her mother taught me, going back 7 generations. We have a saying that came down through my grandmother. She used to say, all sickness begins in the belly. The skin, the nails, the hair, the joints, all of it grows from what is happening in the gut. The old ones knew that the body is one piece. You cannot fix the leaf if the root is sick. Now in our hollow, we have rarely seen the kind of stubborn nail trouble that I see folks come into my kitchen with these days. 5 generations of the women in my family have lived past their 85th year with their feet still strong. My grandmother was 89 when she walked the 4 miles down to the river to gather sweetgrass with me. Her mother before her did the same. We were not doing anything mysterious. We were eating from the land, and we were using these 3 things in our pantry that I am about to share with you. Folks who have come up here from the universities to ask questions have written about what we do. They were not surprised when their tests confirmed it. They were just catching up to what our grandmothers already knew. Before I show you the mix, I want to tell you that one of these 3 ingredients will surprise you. Maybe 9 out of 10 folks who hear this for the first time would never put it in this combination. And the order matters. Each one does its work because of the one before it. So stay with me to the end. While you're here, leave me a comment below. Tell me your age and tell me how long you have been dealing with this nail trouble. 6 months, 6 years, 16 years. I read every single comment on this channel, and what you tell me shapes what I make next. Here is what we are going to walk through together. The reason your nail keeps coming back even after the cream and the pills. The 3 ingredients in the overnight mix and why 2 of them you already have and 1 you would never have guessed. The way to apply it so it actually reaches what it needs to reach. The simple foot routine that holds the work in place between applications. And the deeper foundation, the thing that decides whether this mix works on your body the way it has worked on the women in my hollow for 7 generations. Before we go on, do me one small favor. If the little subscribe button is not red yet, tap it. Folks tell me all the time they thought they had subscribed years ago and they hadn't. It takes you no time at all, and it helps me reach more grandmothers and grandfathers who are sitting on the edge of their bed this morning looking at their feet. Now sit down with me at the kitchen table. The first thing I want you to understand is why the brown bottle from the pharmacy did not work, or why it worked for a few weeks and then the nail came back the same. The fungus on a nail is not really living on top of the nail. It is living underneath it, in the bed of the nail where the new growth comes from. The drugstore creams sit on top of the hard plate, and they cannot get down to where the trouble actually is. The prescription pills work on the bloodstream, but they put a heavy load on the liver, and many older folks come off them after a few months because their liver enzymes go sideways. The doctor has to stop the medicine. The fungus comes back. Researchers from a university up north spent 3 years studying why topical treatments fail on aging nails. They found that nails after the age of 60 grow about 30% slower than younger nails, and the keratin layer becomes denser. The treatments cannot penetrate. My grandmother would have nodded and said, yes, the old plate is harder than the young plate. That is why she always said you have to soften it first, then send the medicine down through it. That is what this 3-ingredient mix does. It softens the nail plate. It carries the medicine through the softened plate down to the bed where the fungus is actually living. And it changes the surface so the fungus cannot keep growing back the way it has been. The first ingredient is raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. The cloudy stuff floating in the bottom of the bottle. That is what you want. The acetic acid in the vinegar lowers the pH on the nail surface to a level where the fungus cannot reproduce. Think of it like a garden where the soil has gone sour. The weed cannot grow in soil that has changed underneath it. My grandmother kept a small jar of vinegar on the windowsill for everything from sore throats to skin trouble. The old ones knew what acid does to the things that grow where they should not. The second ingredient is raw honey, not the clear honey in the bear-shaped bottle. Raw, unfiltered, local honey if you can get it. Honey carries something called hydrogen peroxide that the bee makes naturally inside the comb. It is gentle on the skin around the nail, but it does work on the fungus underneath. It also pulls moisture out of the nail bed in a slow, steady way that the fungus does not survive. And honey is sticky, which matters more than you might think, because it holds the mix on the nail through the night instead of running off into the sock. The third ingredient is the one that surprises folks. It is a clove of fresh garlic, crushed, not chopped. When you crush a fresh clove of garlic, it releases a compound called allicin. Allicin is one of the most powerful natural antifungal compounds on this earth, but it has a problem. It breaks down within minutes of being exposed to air. That is why garlic powder will not do this for you. That is why the jarred minced garlic in oil will not do it either. It has to be a fresh clove, crushed right before you mix it. Researchers in a small study found that allicin worked on the same kinds of nail fungus that cause stubborn cases in older adults. The old folks in our hollow have been crushing garlic into healing paste for so long that nobody remembers when it started. The laboratory people only confirmed what the grandmothers were already doing. Now here is exactly how you make this and how you put it on. Listen carefully because the order matters. Before you go to bed, wash your feet in warm water with a little salt. Soak for 10 minutes. The salt softens the nail and opens the pathway. Dry your feet completely, especially between the toes. Now take 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar and 1 tablespoon of raw honey and stir them together in a small bowl until they are fully blended. Take 1 fresh clove of garlic, crush it with the flat of a knife or in a small press, and stir it into the vinegar and honey mix immediately. Do not let it sit. The allicin is already starting its work. Use a clean cotton swab to apply the mix directly onto the affected nail and into the skin around it. Press it down gently so it works under the edge of the nail where the fungus is hiding. Cover the toe with a small piece of gauze or a Band-Aid, then put on a clean cotton sock. Cotton breathes. Synthetic socks trap moisture, and moisture is what the fungus eats. Leave it on through the night. In the morning, rinse with warm water and dry the foot completely. Do this every night for 2 weeks straight, then every other night for the next 2 months. The nail you are looking at right now will not change overnight. It cannot. The visible part of the nail is already grown. What you are doing is making sure the new nail growing in from the base is growing into clean soil. Over the course of 3 to 4 months, you will see the clean new growth pushing the discolored part forward. By the 5th or 6th month, the affected portion will have grown out almost entirely. Eleanor, who is 78, came to my kitchen last spring from down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. She had been a school teacher for 41 years, and she had been fighting nail fungus on her right big toe for almost 12 years. The pharmacy creams. 2 rounds of prescription pills. She had given up. What was overlooked at every doctor visit she went to was that her body was not just fighting the fungus on her toe. Her gut had been thinned out by years of antibiotics for sinus infections, and her internal terrain had no foundation to support healing on the surface. We started the overnight mix, and we worked on her foundation at the same time. By the 14th week, the affected nail had grown out by almost 70%. By the 6th month, it was clean. She called me last August and said, "Mary, I wore sandals to my granddaughter's wedding. I had not done that in a decade." Now let me pause here, neighbor, because this is the part folks ask me about the most. When folks come to my kitchen with skin trouble, nail trouble, hair trouble, anything that grows from the body outward, the first question I ask them is what their belly is doing. Because every soak and every overnight mix you put on your feet is working on a body, and the body is only as strong as the soil inside it. The terrain underneath is what decides whether the work on the surface holds. What I've landed on for that internal foundation, after looking at many things over the years, is a small thing called BoochBod. It is the only one I have found that brings together three pieces that have to work as one. The probiotics, which are the live cultures, the prebiotic fiber, which feeds the cultures so they can survive in the gut, and the postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds the bacteria produce after the fiber feeds them. Most products only give you the first piece, and the bacteria die before they ever do their work. BoochBod uses two clinically studied strains, lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, and it includes dandelion root and slippery elm, two plants my grandmother kept in her pantry for as long as I can remember. Over 30,000 folks are already using it. And the best part for those of us who do not like swallowing pills, it is a gummy. The link is in the description below this video. Please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you are on blood thinners or diabetes medication. Now, the work on the surface needs help from a few small habits to hold the change in place. The first supporting habit is changing your socks twice a day during the treatment. Once in the morning, once in the late afternoon. Cotton only. The second habit is keeping your nails trimmed straight across, not curved, and filing the top of the affected nail very lightly with an emery board once a week so the mix can penetrate better. The third habit is rotating your shoes. Never wear the same pair 2 days in a row. Shoes need a full day to dry out from the inside. The fourth habit is a weekly foot soak in warm water with 2 tablespoons of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of sea salt for 15 minutes. This holds the pH change you have been making with the vinegar. After 60 years of watching what actually works in folks' bodies, here is what I want you to know. The first thing is that consistency beats strength. A small mix applied every single night for 4 months will outwork the strongest prescription used inconsistently for 2 weeks. The body heals on its own schedule, not the schedule of the bottle. The second thing is timing. Apply the mix right before bed when your foot will be still and warm under the blanket for 7 or 8 hours. That warmth and stillness is when the medicine does its deepest work. Daytime applications wash off in the sock within an hour. The third thing is the quality of the garlic. A clove that has been sitting on the counter for 3 weeks will not give you the allicin you need. Buy fresh, store the heads in a cool, dry place, and use 1 clove per night. 1 head of garlic should last you about a week. The fourth thing is patience with the new growth. The nail you can see right now is dead tissue. You cannot heal what is already grown. You can only make sure what is coming next grows in clean. Watch the base of the nail. That is where you will see the change first. There are 3 common mistakes I see folks make with this mix. The first mistake is using bottled lemon juice or white distilled vinegar instead of raw apple cider vinegar. Folks do this because they have it in the cupboard. White vinegar is too harsh and lemon juice has been pasteurized. Neither one carries what raw cider vinegar carries. Use the cloudy bottle with the mother in it. The second mistake is using garlic powder. I already said this once, but I will say it again because folks try to take the shortcut. Garlic powder has none of the allicin you need. It is a fresh clove, crushed, mixed in the same minute you are going to apply it. There is no shortcut on this one. The third mistake is stopping the treatment when the toe starts to look better at week 3 or 4. The visible improvement is just the dead nail growing forward. The fungus underneath has not been fully cleared yet. If you stop, it will come back. Stay with the routine for the full 4 months. Folks, the nail on your toe is a small thing, but what it represents is not small. It represents your independence. It represents being able to step into the creek with your grandchildren this summer without thinking about it. It represents standing in your own kitchen at 78, at 82, at 86, in your bare feet on the wood floor, making coffee for whoever shows up that morning. That is what this is about. The body you have right now, even at 70 or 80, is still listening. It is never too late to give it what it needs to heal. You are still the one walking your own path on your own feet, and the path is not done with you yet. Let me lock this in for you, neighbor. The reason the pharmacy creams have not worked is that they cannot reach the bed of the nail underneath the hard plate. The 3-ingredient overnight mix, raw apple cider vinegar, raw honey, and 1 freshly crushed garlic clove, softens the nail and carries the medicine down to where the fungus is actually living. Apply it nightly for 2 weeks, then every other night for 2 months, on a clean, dry foot covered with gauze and a cotton sock. Support the work with twice daily sock changes, straight nail trims, rotating your shoes, and a weekly baking soda and sea salt soak. And remember that what grows on the outside grows from the soil on the inside, so tend to your gut foundation while you tend to your feet. If this helped you this morning, tap subscribe. Share this video with your sister or your oldest friend, the one who has been hiding her feet at the pool for years. Leave me a comment below and tell me which part of this you are starting tonight or which ingredient surprised you the most. I read every single comment on this channel, and I love hearing from you. The link to BoochBod is in the description below whenever you are ready to take a look. Walk gently, neighbor. I will see you in the next one.